Hey everybody, it's Chris. This will be my first explains video that looks at a movie, which is exciting and a bit nerve-wracking. Nothing to do but just get into it, so let's go. In this video, we'll be taking a look at Alita Battle Angel. If this is your first time here, I take TV shows and movies based on books and compare and contrast them to the source material, so there might be spoilers ahead. Viewer beware. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any of my future videos, and click that notification icon to join the notification squad, as it were, and be the first to know when something new drops. Alright, with all of that out of the way, let's just jump in. The movie roughly covers the first 2 volumes of the manga, with the exception of motorball. The sport doesn't make an appearance until the 3rd volume, and the circumstances of Alita's participation are vastly different. Although this is a very, very faithful adaptation, there are quite a few changes between the manga and the movie, all of them seemingly small, but with pretty important effects to the overall story and characters. The first of these changes has to do with the name Alita. What's in a name? In the manga, Ito gives our newly found cyborg the name Alita, which his sidekick immediately reveals was the name of a dog that the cyber surgeon owned that had just died. Of course, we know from the movie that Alita has the name of Ito's daughter, who was tragically killed. In the manga, it's literally just a placeholder name thought up in the spur of the moment by Ito, making it seem, in some sense, that he viewed Alita as a pet or an experiment or something like that. We contrast this with how things played out in the movie, and you have Ito seeing this broken young woman as a surrogate daughter, someone he could help and protect in ways that he wasn't able to when his biological daughter needed him the most. And the bookend of this comes near the end of the film, when Alita refers to him as father, cementing this new relationship they have and how it has come to mean a great deal to both characters. So, vastly improved version of this in the movie. Okay, next up we're going to look at the first body. This is another fantastic change from the manga, made possible by the introduction of Ito's daughter's storyline. In the manga, Alita's first body was pieced together over time from parts bought at secondhand shops in the city that we later discover come from cyborgs that were killed by a serial killer. This is briefly touched on in the movie when we see Alita following after the good doctor on one of his quote-unquote night missions. This happens in the movie nearly panel for panel as we see it in the manga, with the only real difference being that we aren't introduced to the main baddie of the film, Growishka here, but a female mutant, which is another change. In the manga we have cyborgs and robots and mutants, whereas in the movie we kind of focus on robots and cyborgs. Either way, the real point here is that I greatly prefer the way the movie handles Alita's first body, making it something that Ito worked on with his own hands for his own daughter, further symbolizing his view of Alita as a surrogate daughter. Speaking of Dr. Ito, let's talk about Dr. Ito. This character is vastly different in the film from what we see in the manga, and that is a great thing because I greatly prefer the film version to the original. For the first 3 volumes of the manga, we have Ito watching over Alita, but there aren't any clearly defined reasons as to why. Is it a paternal thing? Curiosity as a scientist? Boredom? At the beginning of the 3rd volume, you even see the character questioning this himself. In contrast, it is clear from the beginning that Ito sees in Alita the chance to be the father he always wanted to be but wasn't able to be. I mean, the reason that Ito is a bounty hunter is even completely different between the 2 versions. In the manga, he likes the rush of it, the adrenaline. It's almost like an addiction. He enjoys what he's doing. As we see in the film, Ito is a hunter-warrior for 2 main reasons. One, that he feels responsible, because he had built powerful bodies for cyborgs that are now terrorizing the city, including killing his daughter, as well as it's a way to fund his clinic so that he can help as many people as possible. Bottom line, he does not enjoy killing people in the film, and he does in the manga, so greatly prefer the film here. Okay, next up, let's look at Hugo. This was another welcome change, in much the same way that we see the changes to Ito as greatly improving his character. We meet Hugo in the manga much later in the story, and he was way less likable. Where we have the same essential storyline, boy trying to get to Promised Land, jacking parts from cyborgs to do so, that is where the similarities end. In the film, we see the relationship between Hugo and Aleta as reciprocal. They are both falling in love to the point where we see Hugo attempt to leave the life of crime he is living, which leads to his eventual downfall. In the manga, he is caught in the act by a bounty hunter and runs after his friends are killed. In the manga, their relationship is much more one-sided for the most part. Aleta is head over heels for Hugo, but he is much too focused on his dream of leaving the city below for the city above to spare more than a few fleeting thoughts for Aleta. It isn't until later, when he is a wanted criminal and is forced to search his feelings by Aleta, that he realizes that he does in fact care for her. Okay, next up we have the Berserker body. This is one of my favorite changes from the manga. In the source material is Ito, who finds a ship, eventually retrieving the body. When he discovers what it is, Ito locks it in a secret basement of his clinic with other dangerous cyborg parts. Once Aleta's first body is destroyed, he decides to give her this new one, hoping she will be able to control its vast power. I greatly prefer what we see in the film, having Aleta find the body as a metaphor for her journey of self-discovery was fantastic, and was the jumping off point for revelations about who and what Aleta really is. I also really appreciated the fact that it was a way to give her character more control and agency over her own story. In the context of the film, it makes sense why Ito refused to merge Aleta with the new body, given in the film he knows all too well who and what she is from the beginning, coupled with his paternal feelings. When he finally gives in and merges them, it's another great moment for their relationship. Ito acknowledging that he can't make these decisions for his quote-unquote daughter, just as he can't always keep her safe. Like any parent, all he can do is to teach her as best he can and trust that she will make the right decisions when the time comes. And lastly, we're going to look at Motorball. Look, I get why this is in the movie. It's exciting to watch and would have sold a bunch of toys had the movie done better, but it just wasn't great for the narrative, in my opinion. It doesn't even show up until the third volume after Hugo has died, trying to get to the floating city of Zalem. Aleta escapes into Motorball to hide from the pain of losing Hugo, determined to become a pure instrument of destruction, refined in the fires of a violent sport. She is even hiding from Ito, who we find in the third volume frantically looking for Aleta months after the death of Hugo. I assume that they added Motorball in at this point in the story for the action, etc., which I get. The issue I have is that it doesn't actually serve the story any better than what the manga did at this point in the story. In the manga, once Aleta discovered that Ito was a bounty hunter, she becomes one, just as we see in the movie, and then works for quite a while, eventually as a team with Ito, and becomes very good at being a bounty hunter. This seems like a way better way to bring in some frenetic action than what we see with Motorball, and actually helps to evolve Aleta and her story in ways that would make the end of the film much more satisfying to me. You could see her become more and more adept at fighting as she recovered more of her memories as we build up, story-wise and character-wise, to the Aleta we see at the end that is nigh unstoppable. All right, that's it for this one. I really dug this movie. I went into it with some trepidation, and just because of the reviews and things like that. But I have learned, and this is another clear indication of the truth of this statement, that I don't really care what reviewers say anymore. I want to know what audiences think. Did audiences enjoy it? And audiences did enjoy it. So I'm going to start using that as my guiding light, I think. when I'm choosing things to watch. Visually stunning movie. The acting was fantastic. Christoph Waltz is one of my favorite character actors of the last 20 years, and he was fantastic as Ito. Like, everything was beautiful in the movie, and well edited and well directed. So kudos to everyone involved. And Salazar, Rosa Salazar, I believe her name is. I will correct it in post if that is the wrong name for the lead actress, but she was fantastic, and I love the stories around her training to be Alita and wanting to do as much as possible herself instead of relying on a stunt person. And she really carried the movie and sold the character's internal struggle and joy at rediscovering life. So fantastic job. Yeah. All right, that is it for me. Feels good to be back in the saddle, if you know what I mean. There will be more videos coming up. The next video you'll see on this channel will probably be a deep dive into a discovery of witches, which I am super stoked about. So in the meantime, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can leave them in the comments. Go ahead and give this a thumbs up if you liked it. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. It's free internet. Won't hold it against you. Until I see you guys again, find a good book and read it. If you have read any great books lately, please put them in the comments, because I am always looking for new things to read. So I will see you guys in the next video. Take it easy.